I got something special to tell you guys. Come closer, come close. Listen. My very own supplement is coming out. I have a post-workout. It's called Battle Tested. That's all I'm gonna say. It's coming out soon, so be on the lookout. All right, now I know a lot of my friends in the industry say that overtraining is not a real thing.
You overtraining motherfuckers make me sick. It ain't no motherfucking such thing as overtraining. It's a myth.
But what I will say is this. When we're talking about overtraining, we're talking about a heightened cortisol level that will negatively affect a person's performance. So we want to have stress, but we don't want to have too much stress, right? An added amount of overload in the body, in the nervous system, is negatively going to affect your performance going forward. So here's some key steps that I like to utilize to help negate that, all right? So step one is gonna be evaluation. So we gotta evaluate the situation. So we wanna see age, right? And we wanna see training age. So how long have you actually been training and how old are you? A 20-year-old is gonna be able to recover faster than a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, and so on. Trust me, I know. As soon as I hit 30, everything changed, right? So I needed to take longer breaks. I needed to make sure that I was getting the proper recovery that I'm gonna go over here. All right, you also wanna look at gender, right? Females and males, you know, the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of females, they're obviously not gonna be lifting the amount of load that a male would. So a lot of times you get females that can recover faster from training. Now that's just general, but for the most part, that's what it is. Experience level, right? If somebody has a large amount of experience inside the weight room, in training in general, has a lot of time in the weight room, actually weight training, they're gonna need a little bit more time to recover. Strength level, right? If you're stronger, if you're lifting more weights, obviously you're gonna need more time to recover from that too as well. The overall workload is gonna be more, so we need to take that into account. And then we're gonna look at recovery history. How well do you actually recover from your past training sessions? I do this a lot with the fighters because I can actually see exactly, how well they're gonna recover, not from just their weight training, but also their skills training as well. Step two is gonna be the assessment, all right? So we're gonna look at objective and subjective indicators. So first thing we're gonna look at is tracking the sleep quality. The way you can track sleep quality is looking at an app called Sleep Cycle. I've used this a lot. You can also buy a Whoop or an Oura Ring, something like that can track your sleep throughout the time of your restful sleep so that you can see how well you're actually sleeping throughout the night. We're also gonna check morning heart rate monitoring. So you wanna make sure that you're staying in a solid range. If you have an increase, a bump in your heart rate in the morning, then that's usually a sign that you are somewhat overreaching or overtraining. So I usually stick between a 7 to 8 beats over your general beats per minute inside of your morning heart rate check. If it is higher, about 7 to 8 beats, then that's usually an indication that you need to slow down for the day. All right, you can also have a heart rate variability monitor. So that usually is gonna be something like an Omega Wave, and then Oura Ring does do that as well. Heart rate variability, you wanna have a sustained amount of variation inside your heart rate. You don't wanna stay the same. So when those variations go up and down, that's usually a good sign. If it stays where it is, then that's an indication that you do need to slow down for the day, maybe take a deload, something like that. Grip strength, all right? So grip strength we use a lot when they get into the gym. So you can use a dynamometer, and if you do have a 10% decrease in your grip strength, that is another sign that you are overreached or overtrained. So we wanna download that day, maybe do some mobility work, or just tell them to go home and get some rest. You can also use velocity-based training monitoring. So you can use a Gym Aware for that. That's what I use primarily. A linear transducer model. 5 to 10% decrease is usually an indication that they are overtrained. So you want to get a general or a baseline understanding of how well they can move a certain load, and you want to take that into account, have them move that same load or just do a body weight jump. And if they're not using that amount of force or high velocity that they usually do, then that's an indication. The next thing you're gonna look at when they're doing their dynamic warm-up, especially inside the weight room, when you start your training, and if you are a fighter or an athlete, you wanna monitor your coordination and your balance. If that's off, if you feel like just unathletic that day, a little stiff, just your balance is off, you wanna make sure that you are taking that into account. Fatigue and sleepiness, right? When you wake up foggy, you feel drained when you wake up. If you feel like you can go right back to sleep, that's another indication. So you wanna take that into account. And then trouble falling asleep is also another one. So if you're up all night, it's hard for you to go to sleep, and then you wake up groggy, then you wanna make sure that you're taking that down and make sure that we can start to download or at least decrease the training volume for that particular day. Or again, like I said, take a day off. This is gonna go in line with checking your cortisol level. So if your circadian rhythm is off, if you have a flip circadian rhythm where, again, you can't go to sleep, but you feel tired in the day, you wanna make sure that you're checking your levels. So you can use something that's called a Dutch test, and that's a urine test. It's gonna take about 24 to 48 hours, depending on the test. For females, it's actually throughout the month. But the Dutch test will actually give you a full cortisol reading. So you wanna check that out if you feel like your cortisol is all out of whack, or if your sleep patterns are off. Let's go ahead and get that checked out. All right, guys, I go into more detail, in depth on all these protocols and the objective and subjective indicators, along with the formulation and execution of training inside my mentorship. So if you wanna find out more details on that in a deeper context, you can check out my mentorship program. Link is down below. All right, so step number 3 is formulate, right? So we're gonna work on the programming now. This is gonna be big because this is where you're gonna organize and structure out the strategy for your training. All right, so organizing progressions, right? So we wanna make sure that we're progressing slowly and we're not aiding or trying to do too much at one time. You wanna take structured deloads. So usually it's 3 to 4 weeks and you wanna get a deload after that. So I like to do what's called wave periodization. And what you do is you wave up, take a deload, come back up, take a deload. So it's a 3 up, 1 down approach. And then load management. So we wanna know exactly what percentage you're actually working at and how much volume you're gonna be doing with that percentage that you're trying to train at, right? If there's too high a volume and too much overall intensity or high intensity, high volume, you're gonna end up basically burning the candle at both ends, and we don't wanna do that either. Step number 4 is gonna be execution. So we wanna get quality sleep, right? 7 to 9 hours from a general perspective is gonna be good for any athlete that's actually training 1 to 2 times a day. You also wanna consume proper nutrition, right? So we wanna make sure that we're getting adequate amount of protein and adequate amount of water intake. So hydration is gonna be important. Supplementation, creatine monohydrate, primarily I go with that. Has a huge amount of research on it. You can check it out, but it definitely does work when it comes down to replenishment, when it comes down to recovery in general, but also when it comes down to increasing performance. Essential amino acids, again, you got to break down a muscle. We want to build that back up. So that's why protein is very important, and that's why you want to get some essential amino acids as well. Carbohydrates, right? To replenish glycogen stores. So you deplete glycogen as you're training, especially when you're doing some type of skill training, whether that be, you know, if you're a field sport athlete, if you're a combat sport athlete, or if you're just weight training, you want to get those into as well. I like to use dextrose or branch cyclic dextrin. It's very fast absorption rate. You can assimilate it faster. It's going to get into the muscle. Electrolytes. Now, you guys know me. I like Element. So Element is my choice of electrolytes. It has sodium, magnesium, potassium. When you sweat, you lose that electrolytes. You lose all that stuff inside of your sweat. So you want to replenish that after your training, especially if it's a hard, intense training session. All right? Now, I got something special to tell you guys. Come closer, come closer. My very own supplement is coming out. I have a post-workout. It's called battle testing. That's all I'm gonna say. It's coming out soon, so be on the lookout. We got 4 steps. Make sure you follow those. You'll be fine, you'll be good to go. Now, like I said, it's not just about mindset, it is about your physiology. So you wanna take these things into account when you're training, when you're formulating that process. If you are a coach, make sure you do this for your athletes. If you're an athlete, make sure you do this for yourself. If you wanna find out more details, mentorship, down below, link is in the description. I go over all the details on how you can progress and how you can formulate that programming to help you get in the best shape of your life or help your athletes get in the prime performance position to be successful. All right, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Hit the notification, hit the like button. I'll see you again next time. Peace.